to video. In today's video, we're covering the Turmoil build. So with the Turmoil build, we're utilizing the Pestilence, Gunner Specialization, and the new FAMAS, the Huntsman, with Perfect Frenzy. And we're going to go through everything on the build and pretty much how the builds work. So if you're new to the game, the Pestilence is something that is, well, it used to be solely a Dark Zone drop, but I've seen people getting them out of caches now. At the end of the day, it does have the Plague of the Outcast. So hits apply a debuff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. This stacks up to 50 times. Whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, 100% of the stacks are transferred to the nearby enemy within 25 meters. Okay? So I do have a couple cool builds with this. Maybe you should try with Eclipse Protocol. Yeah, and the Trauma. Maybe you'll like that as well. But that's for another video. And secondary, we're using the Huntsman. Alright, maxed out, and this comes with Perfect Frenzy. For every 8 bullets in the magazine capacity, gain 3% rate of fire and 3% weapon damage for 9 seconds when reloading from empty. If you reload and it's not empty, you will not see the benefits of Perfect Frenzy. I'm sorry, some of them are perfectly, some of them are perfect. Alright, so we do have 107 weapon damage on here. It's maxed out only at 22% expertise, so I do have 8 more levels I can go. I can get 8% more damage out of it, which will probably put us around 111, 112 or so. Alright, according to the build that we're running and how much damage we have on there. And then for the Pesty, I do have that at 30 with 123% base damage, and that's maxed out as well. The TDI card here, but you're more than welcome to run whatever you want. It's not a skill build, so you do not necessarily need the TDI card. I just use it to proc up Sledgehammer in the case of just procking up more damage. Alright, so we are running 3-piece negotiators with the Ninja Bike, so that gives us 4 pieces, and that also procs up the second piece from Petrov and the second piece from Seska. Now, this is a Turmoil build because we're utilizing the Turmoil knee pads that they gave us a little while back in our box. If you don't have it, you need to go back and double check your Dark Zone box on the gift section, and this should be there. The talent on this knee pad is Bewildered. When dealing weapon damage to an enemy, 50% of the damage will be dealt to another enemy within 30 meters instead. When there are no enemies nearby, deal damage normally. This does not apply to armor plates. Okay, the pros and cons to this, I do see it work, and you see a different tick outside of the pesty tick you already have going. But you can't utilize this in the Dark Zone. If you go to the Dark Zone, that damage to enemy will read 0% of the damage. So it does not work in the Dark Zone at all. Now, because we're in the Ninja Bike, we do also get 20% hazard protection, because the second attribute from Seska gives you 20% hazard protection. All right. So with this and the watch, you're around 30% hazard protection on the build. So that might come in handy for whatever you're doing. If you'd want to change the defender to maybe a booster, up to you. I just run the defender drone because I plan to be ADSing, so I do need a little protection. It does have a skill tier, so that does give us around, let's see, 31% damage reduction in PvE, and we are utilizing the Precision Smart Cover. Now, the Smart Cover without a skill tier, it's the damage to target out of cover will be 15%. Because I'm running the Ninja Bike and I do have a skill tier, we're sitting at 17% damage to target out of cover. And as you can see, all you have to do is go to cover, proc the skill up, it'll screw it into the wall, and then you can deal your damage for 26 seconds, but it does have a 40-second cooldown. Alright, so be mindful of that. For the chest piece, we're running Petrov, and that's just to give us 10% LMG damage, and we also get the benefit of 15% weapon handling because that's the second attribute from the brand set. So we have max weapon damage, max headshot damage, max crit chance, max headshot damage mod, and I just went ahead and rolled Unbreakable to it. I love getting pieces like this because if I want to in the future, I can also change this chest piece to another talent, make it glass if I want to, knowing for a fact that I'm not going into the Dark Zone with it. I can definitely just make it glass, probably run a decoy instead of a defender, give them something else to shoot at, and that way I can get my damage off. Completely up to you, right? But we're just running Unbreakable. Alright, and I don't mind running glass, and you guys know that. Check out the Katana build if you haven't already. Alright, now for the negotiators, another big part of the build, you also get 50% critical hit chance and 20% critical hit damage just for having the 4-piece, but you also get hostile negotiations. Critical hits mark enemies for 20 seconds, up to 3 marks total. When you critically hit a marked enemy, all other marked enemies take 60% of the damage dealt. Now, I said that to say this. You don't even really have to tag everybody up just based off how the Turmoil knee pad works. So I just wanted to pair the Turmoil knee pad with the Negotiator's gear set because, I like builds that are like different, and I feel like it's a little bit OP. All right, so whenever a marked enemy dies, you gain 2% critical hit damage, and that stacks up to 20 times or until you're just out of combat. So you can add an additional 40% critical hit damage to your build once you're fully stacked from the Negotiator's gear set. And if you're in that kind of a fight, you'll just see the damage just keep going. You're going to get a tick for the Negotiators dilemma damage with the Pestilence, and you're also getting a separate tick for the Turmoil damage as well. As you can see, sometimes I had double ticks going. So that's what that does for you, and that's what I wanted to see from the build. And again, this is strictly for PvE. It does not work in the Dark Zone. The Petrov chest piece we have, you see it's maxed out. The holster is maxed out with crit damage. The knees are maxed out. This is how they come. Everyone should have them just like this. Crit chance, crit damage. You cannot expertise the knee pads. That's another con to the knee pads. I like the way they work. They obviously work in PvE, but you cannot expertise the knee pad, and you cannot change the rolls on the knee pad. All right. The glove, we have headshot damage here, and on the backpack we get resourceful, and this is the Ninja Bike backpack. If you're new to the game, you're not familiar with it. Resourceful just slots in with any equipped gear set and brand set item to fulfill a requirement towards unlocking a gear set bonus. Can unlock bonuses from multiple sets simultaneously, which means at the same time. So as you can see, we're getting a 4-piece Negotiators, we're getting a second piece of Providence, and we're getting 20% hazard because the first piece of Seska will give you 8% critical hit chance. All right, so I'm using Defender Drone. We got, like I said, 31% protection right there, and then with one skill tier on the smart cover, I'm at 17% damage to target out of cover compared to 15. So we only have 6% damage to armor on here because that's just how it comes on the Pestilence. But if you add the 17 that we got from the smart cover and the 12 from the LMG, then you're around, let's say, what is that? 29% damage to target out of cover, which is not bad when you're running an LMG with a tick on it with this gear set. As you can see, it was just kind of meant to be a little bit OP. So we're sitting at 55% crit chance right now. We do have 89% critical hit damage, but once everything's fully stacked up, we're sitting at around 129% crit damage and 145% headshot damage because this build was stacked more so for the headshot damage. Now with the weapon handling that we are getting from the Petrov chest piece, we do get a little bit of reload speed and a reload speed bonus, some accuracy, and as you can see here, the weapon handling speed is all 15%. That's where that weapon handling is coming from. The ammo capacity is coming from the gunner specialization, and we have 115% all weapon damage bonus. Our LMG damage bonus is 40%. Okay, to go down here to the numbers, armor's at 181. So not too far from 1.250, which would show us at 1.3, but it'll be a little bit difficult knowing that I cannot expertise the Turmoil knee pads. You just can't expertise them for some reason. Maybe they'll change that in the future. Maybe they won't. But that's just how it is for right now. We do have 50% pulse resistance from the wheel, 10% explosive resistance from the watch, and 30% hazard protection overall, based off the 10 from the watch and the 20 from the second piece of Sesker that the Ninja Bike is procking up. And you do have 70% disrupt resistant. I'm sure that comes in handy for when an enemy goes to jam you. You'll get your stuff back a little bit quicker because you have 70% disrupt resistant. Alright, so that's it for the pieces on the build. Hope you enjoyed the build video. Until next time, it is your boy Optimus Grand RD. Be safe out there. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like the build video or if it helped you out in any way, shape, or form, because I know some people have been asking me about the smart cover. There is a lot to get into with the new stuff on the game, and unfortunately I just don't have the time to getting to everything all at once. And I'm still trying to make sure that I'm doing things for my channel and to kind of push me in the right direction. So help your boy out. Smash the like button, subscribe. Until next time, peace.
That should keep him from being able to transport those mortars locally. Good work. Go on and head back up.